Hey everybody, sorry about the blank start there. That kind of sucked. I always forget to add myself to the stream when I get started with these things. I've got a special guest in today, as you may have seen by the thumbnail. We'll bring him in very shortly. Hi Joe, hope you can hang on for a couple minutes, and I'll bring you right on in. Now, just to start, can you please let me know, especially Joe, since you're right there, how is the volume? And how is the picture? Does everything look okay according to you? Thumbs up, thumbs down. How about volume? Volume is thumbs up. Volume. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Good. And how about the picture? How's the picture? All right. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. We've got Sean that's joined in. Welcome. I really appreciate you popping in. We'll get started right away. A couple of things I'd like to mention. First of all, a big, huge apology to Whiskey Vault / Whiskey Tribe. I was supposed to be down there this weekend for the Bastards Ball as part of the WhiskyTube community that's going on down there. Unfortunately, my wife took a bit ill, so I won't be able to go. And not only that, the border's not open yet. I can't drive in, and it's a crazy flight. I got to fly to Calgary, then to Los Angeles, and then over to Austin, Texas. And I would have done it. I would have done it if not for my wife's illness. She's recovering. We had a couple of days at the hospital. Nothing serious, I don't think. We'll have to wait and see. So if you pray, please pray. If you just like to think good thoughts, and think good thoughts for my wife. All right. All right, so we've got Cohen who has joined in. We've got Chris Beaton and Paul M. I really appreciate you joining on in. So we're going to bring in Joe just very briefly. And in fact, I've left his box. I've got the box that I need to open right over there. So I have to grab that in a second. I'll get him online before I leave so as not to leave the studio without a host for that period of time. I always have trouble setting up StreamYard with my Logitech, what is it called, Brio. It is a bit finicky. So if you use those and you got tricks for how to get that thing to work, when you switch platforms, then send me an email, markswhiskywhistle@gmail.com. Or if you just want to send me email just to say hi, that's great too. A few other things. I just released a Springbank 15-year-old whiskey review. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. And a few days prior to that was Anok 18. So a couple of cracking reviews for you to check out. Please do. And you know what? While you're at it, subscribe right over there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell, ding, ding, so you're notified of future Whiskey Whistles. Share this live stream if you want friends to join on in and follow along with us. And I think it's about time to get Joe in. Now, who is Joe? I'll bring him in, and then I will I'll introduce him and let him give you a bit of a self-introduction, and I'll go grab that box because we got to get started. Okay, so let's get going here.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Great. Awesome to have you.
Cheers.
This has been a long time coming. It's been, I think, almost a year and a half, 2 years. It's been a long time since we've been planning to do something like this, and the upload speed at my former residence was really touch and go. Now it's really fast, so that helps a lot. I don't like to live stream in 720, and even then it was a little bit splotchy with the anyway. So long story short, finally I can have Joe on. Joe is my first special guest. That is not really a whiskey tuber. He's not a YouTuber, but he does do some cool things with whiskey. 2 of them that hopefully he'll tell you about, his writing and also about his new Facebook group. Anyway, and Joe is, if you can't tell by his accent, he is from Chicago, which is very similar to Winnipeg. We've got very similar locales, same time zone. Same temperate kind of climate. We get cold winters, we get really hot summers. Anyway, so I'll let him introduce himself and I'll go grab that box. Joe, can you take it away?
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Joe Gulino from Chicago. How I came to meet Mark, definitely online, obviously, since he's in Canada. Years ago, when I was getting into whiskey, I was doing all the entry level whiskeys, the 12s, Old Pulteney 12, Belveni 12. I came across a bottle at my fiance's father's house. It was on the refrigerator. It was about maybe a fourth full, and it had the cork in it. It was an old bottle. It was an old bottling of Glenmorangie 18. So I wanted to try it. Obviously, I tried it, and it was absolutely amazing. I wanted to know a little bit more about the whiskey, so I jumped on YouTube, and the only review or information I could come across was actually Mark. I think this must have been about maybe 2015-ish. He's wearing like a green sweater, a nice brown suit coat jacket, and he's doing a little sample review of that older bottling of Glenmorangie 18. And he was spot on with his description, and it's just ever since then I've just kind of been following Mark in his reviews, because he's typically spot on with his reviews and provides so much information regarding these whiskeys that he tries. So over the years, we've kind of become friends. I've sent him samples. He's sent me samples. Sometimes we've had little mishaps at the border, but we work well together, and we do our best. And right now, he's opening up a box that I sent him recently. This is one of the whiskeys that we all have those whiskeys that we're nostalgic about when we first started drinking whiskey. And the bottle that he's gonna open up in that box is well, I'll let him open it and share with you. But this is one of those whiskeys I came across, and I tried it. It was outside of just the 12s I was trying at the time. It's a bourbon barrel influenced Scotch, also finished in a sherry cask. And I wasn't too into the sherry Scotches at the time, but this just blew my mind away. It's only $60 American. And I'm gonna let Mark open up that box and share with you guys what we got.
All right, gonna unmute myself. Hopefully, whatever he said was not inflammatory or derogatory or insulting in any way. Of course, he's a true gentleman, so that wouldn't be the case. And hopefully he told you about his new Facebook group called Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning, which you see on his T-shirt. And hopefully I get one of those because they're super awesome. And that is General Grant, isn't it?
Yes, it's General Ulysses S. Grant. The group is based off of a book that I ended up reading while working on a master's degree.
That's pretty awesome. And so you finished that. So you've got your bachelor's, your master's. You do some very interesting work, which I won't mention because maybe you can't talk about that. I have other friends in that line of work that tend to keep that hush hush. But everybody should be thankful for the work that you do without hinting. I won't answer yes or no, so don't even ask unless Joe mentions it. So, okay, now we have this broadcast both here on YouTube and also on Facebook, on Facebook's WhiskyWhistle page. That's the like the standard platform that most channels would have as a page. And I'm also broadcasting this on my own group called WhiskyWhistle and Friends. So you can join there or here, whatever's comfortable for you. And to everybody watching on Facebook, hello. I'm about to open that up to make sure that you're not left all alone. So I'll have my StreamYard open with the YouTube comments here. And I think it'll I don't think it tells me the Facebook comments, so I'll watch that and see and make sure that it's not infecting the audio. However, anyway, be that as it may, I'm really thirsty and I can't wait to get this open. So let me just show you this box. So this is what came in the mail, and it's pretty heavy and it's pretty big. So right away I thought to myself, well, Joe, this can't be just samples. There's no way you sent me like a package of 40 samples. So there's got to be something interesting going on in here. So let's get that open together. And I couldn't find my little switchblade, so I get to use a bread knife. And Joe is also one of the I'll call that a super subscriber. He's a super subscriber. He's also a Winnipeg Whiskey Club member. The only U.S. member so far. That will change, I guess, probably next year as the word spreads. What was I saying? That he picks up on the funniest things that I throw in the videos that are meant to kind of be like little Easter eggs, and he always catches them. What was the one from the Springbank 15 review?
It was your comment, gorillas in the mist.
Of course, that ages myself. And Joe, I know you're a bit younger than me, but obviously, I'm of the vintage that heard that song. It's actually gorilla, like the mafia gorillas, but that heard that song when it first came out, that Ice Cube had promoted. So, okay, there we go. Turns out a bread knife doesn't work very well opening boxes that are immaculately packed with very strong packing tape. So, okay, got it open. Save that in case we have any flies coming in tonight. Okay, whoa. So this is nuts. So there's a box in a box. So first of all, Joe, this is like Christmas for me. All right, so we got a big, huge. Oh, this is nothing. Okay, this is nothing. I thought that was something. Get that out of here. I'll use these. Got this one. There we go. Okay, well, this is really interesting. So it's a box in a box. So this is more like about what I was thinking that I might get. It's usually about half the size of this. So, and just checking in with who's following along here. We have Cohen. We have Paul M. We have who else? We got Chris Beaton. And we got Sean and Kent. Okay. Anyway, so hopefully wherever you are, I'll find you. And I'm just going to pull up the Whiskey Whistle and Friends group. Okay. All right. So I'm live on there too. No comments there. Okay. We got Eric Palmer. Eric Palmer. Sorry that I'm so late saying hi, but welcome. Really glad you're here. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to shut that volume off. Can I do that? Okay, so that's one of them. Anyway, good to have you. Come jump in on YouTube if you can. The picture, the quality, the commenting will be a little more interesting for you. But if you're comfortable on Facebook, then you can just hang out there. And how do I get out of there now? Okay, back to unboxing. And I got one more group I got to check through. Okay, so we talked about this a couple days ago. We were supposed to get this off at about 8:30 tonight, and my kids, I've got three little girls, 9, 7, and 5, and it's always an issue trying to get them into bed. They were actually ready for bed by about 8:10, so it could have happened, but man, they fart around. You know how it is. Okay, so let's get that like that. We got I think that's Bounty paper towels, isn't it? Okay. So this is a real unboxing. Okay, so Joe, come on. How many is this? What is this? A Russian doll? What the heck? Okay. Well, I kind of feel like I should probably open whatever's in here first. I can see that we have a bottle, and I can feel the shape of it. It's kind of it's a canister, but it's not a what do you call it? Tubular canister. It is an egg-shaped canister, egg-shaped or oval. What do you call that? An obloid? What's that kind of a shape called? It's not a cylinder, but it's an oval kind of cylinder, whatever that shape is. Okay, so then we got this little box here. Now, how many people that are joining along here, how many of you are sending boxes of samples to and from friends of yours and, sometimes overseas or to other countries? Do you do that too? Leave a comment and tell me the farthest place you've ever shipped a sample. And is that something you do very often? Are you in a club as well? And this is insane. I mean, first of all, the first thing we got here is what looks like a really amazing stick, and it's pretty long. That's like well, judging by my my knowledge, that's about 7 inches. Okay, so we got a 7-inch. What is this? Red Baron, 7-inch Red Baron. Southern Draw.
That's a one of a kind cigar that was created by the owner of a cigar shop out here in Chicago. The dog that you see on the label is a police canine that passed away recently, and all the proceeds that go from the sales of that cigar go to an animal foundation. But it's a very flavorful cigar. The guy that created that cigar definitely knows what he's doing, and you will definitely enjoy that cigar. It's a special one. It's one of a kind.
Well, very aromatic, that's for sure. And I've got Donner Pass Whiskey, who has shipped samples from where he lives in California to Manchester in the UK. Yeah, that's pretty far. I think I've got you beat though, but that is pretty far. Oh man. So the raw cigar's got obviously notes of cedar, but I've got leather. I've got something like pure tea. Pure tea is the fermented Chinese tea. In Korean, it's called boita. Okay, anyway, so smells pretty heady. This will definitely not be lit up here at home. I'll make sure I get that enjoyed together with you before it gets too cold outside. You got one left, Joe?
I do not. I bought about 10 of them and I rifled right through them.
Too funny. Okay, so now we've got a big mess of samples, and everything looks like nothing was tampered with. Oh, we got one. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to drink that anyway. We got one sample that leaked, but the liquid is still in the Ziploc. So
yeah, just drink it right out of the Ziploc bag.
I'm gonna pour that right now, whatever that is. It's a Ziploc pour. You know, it's food grade. We've lost a little bit of the info on those, but I think I can figure out what they are. You'll have to help me with those. Okay. One said 7. This one is almost illegible. I'll have to let that dry and see if I can read it. And then the one that split open is the yellowest of them all. The other ones are kind of orangey. Huh. You know, so actually the it did break, but I'll sieve that out. So this will probably have to be okay. I'm gonna have to sieve that out, otherwise I'll be drinking glass shards. Okay, the rest of them all made it work perfectly well. So those are all good to go. We've got some amazing things here. And hopefully, Joe, I hope these are the ones you wanted to maybe try tonight. We've got Russell Reserve Single Barrel. We have an Ardmore Caden Heads. That's 46% ABV. Oh, we've got the Bren French Single Malt. So that's great. I'll get all these labels facing forward, and then I'll show this to you. And hey, Joe, we got a question from Cohen who's asking, which is better, Gino's East or Lau Malnati's pizza?
Definitely Lou Malnati's. Lou Malnati's is by far the best deep dish pizza you can have here in Chicago.
That's right. It's Chicago's where deep dish comes from, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. So I'll just pull that up to the camera a little bit here. Angle that so you can see it better. Okay, so starting from this side, that's the Russell's Reserve. Then we have the Ardmore Caden Heads, followed by Bren French Single Malt. And after that is, the Star Wars Binny's Pick is next. And then the last one, Joe, looks like E.H. Taylor. Which E.H. Taylor is that one?
That's going to be the barrel proof.
Awesome. Okay. So insane whiskeys. None of these are available locally for me. So that's really huge. And I'll have to let these dry, but what are the other ones you sent? What's the one that says a 7 on it?
Trying to remember, but I did send in the other one that did send you
Mr. Master.
There was a George T. Stagg and a William Rue Weller B-Tax.
Oh, what's the Sinister?
Oh, that's the Sinister. Yeah, that's that milk stout one.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And I can't quite make this out yet. Again, I'll have to let it dry. No, can't make it out. But it should come. So I'll let that one dry a little bit. And okay. I really want to try that. I'm going to go grab a coffee filter. So we'll filter that to get the glass shards out. And we'll start with that one. And this one that broke... Again, so this one had a yellow tag on it. Can you recall which one that was?
It's too bright to read the label there.
Dripping everywhere. Okay, well, bear with me. Okay, so Joe, why don't you pour yourself something and share with people what you're going to have. And then I'll be right back with a coffee filter, and we'll get those glass shards out and start with that one.
Sure.
Here we go.
I'm going to drink a little bit of this Redwood Empire. It's from Sonoma County, California. It's a blend of straight whiskeys. Pretty sweet, candy-like. I was actually sipping on it while I was waiting for Mark to come on board. Pretty delicious. I think it's maybe around $40 to $50 US. It's a newer expression, but very good. And like Mark was saying, I also started writing cigar and whiskey pairing reviews for Whiskey Network, which is through another Facebook group. If you're not familiar with whiskey, bourbon, and Scotch enthusiasts, I have about maybe at least two reviews. I have a couple more submitted, so there should be a couple more coming in the next couple months. Cheers. If anybody else is on board here, if you want to put in the chat what you're sipping on. If anybody has any guesses as to what that bottle is that Mark is going to open up soon. Oh, that's good. I'll show this bottle again. This is Redwood Empire. Again, it's a blend of straight whiskeys. You can see I got just the heel left of the bottle. And I'll move out of the way. You guys can see my little setup here. Got some bourbon, scotches on the bar. I'd love to hear what you guys are all sipping on tonight, what you've been dramming on. And if anybody has any guesses as to what could possibly be, which bottle could possibly be in that box. Again, it's your hints are it's bourbon barrel influenced and sherry barrel influenced. You can subscribe to that Whiskey Network magazine online. Just Google it. There's a lot of information on whiskey, and then if you're interested in cigars as well, you can read my reviews and other cigar whiskey pairing reviewers as well. This is a lot of caramel on this, a lot of very sweet. And again, not expensive at all, and you could usually find it on the shelves here in the States. I'm not sure about in Canada, if you're in Canada. And back to, I forget who asked the question about Lou Malnati's or Geno's East. Lou Malnati's just has a lot more flavor than Geno's East. Geno's East is good. Geno's East is actually was started by 2 cab drivers. One day out of the year, they'll give personal pan dish pizzas to any cab driver that rolls up to the restaurant. But definitely, if you're going to be here in Chicago, you're going to want to go with Lou's. All right, Mark's back. I was asking if anybody could guess what that bottle was that was in the box.
Oh, and I see we have the mini Rex that's joined again. Come here, Rex. I missed him. I'll get you yet. Okay. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pour this, first of all, this little bit that's left in here. We'll get that poured in there. And it's oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, it's totally smashed. Okay, so that one's not getting in my glass. Okay, hang on. Let's clean that up. I still have this amount. Okay, so this we can enjoy. And I think I'll get sneaky. I'm going to tear off the end over here. And then we'll go like this. And I'm just using a regular coffee filter to make sure none of the glass shards get in my glass. Okay, there we go. And you can see it's totally slowly percolating there like a good coffee. And since that's semi-unknown until that label dries a little bit, don't know what it is, but we'll go in blind, and then we'll see if I can get any information from this this label. Come on. Now, is this recommended? No, I wouldn't recommend using a coffee filter if you are decanting, for example. So let's say you got some cork that's broken up into a bottle. Then what are you going to do? I wouldn't use a coffee filter. I would just use a fine mesh, and it'll get out most of it. There might be some microscopic cork bits that'll be in there. I don't think that's going to really taint your whiskey. So use a mesh filter, maybe the finest one you can find if you really want to do a good job. The coffee filter would likely add a little bit of obviously some paper filaments to the whiskey. So typically when I'm actually making coffee using a paper filter, I often rinse it first and start that way, just so that that I'm not getting the least amount of filaments in there. But anyway, and I got a little bit more here that I'm just going to do something really untoward. There we go. Okay, Joe. So we'll start with this one. Cheers to you, and cheers everybody for watching. Hope you're having a good time. Please share what you're drinking with us tonight, and what would you like to see on the channel, on a live stream? Any guests that you'd like to see? I do have a bunch lined up, but nothing except for Joe tonight to start with. So Joe, really awesome having you here the first time. So cheers, everyone. Okay, that's definitely got virgin oak. So it's it could be a bourbon, or it could be a single malt that is aged in virgin oak. I'm seeing it's either a PER or an REV, and there's a T. Red. No, I really can't make that out just yet. Well, that's a mystery. So anyway, cheers, everybody. I'm going to enjoy that. We'll check that out in a few minutes to see what it was. No, I'm just kidding. Higher ABV for sure. This could be a single malt American whiskey. Otherwise, it's a really high malt bourbon with almost minimal or no rye. Could also be wheated. It's really waxy. It's super mouth coating. Big vanilla. Some caramels, some Werther's original. The finish is like caramelized apple, not candy apple, but caramelized apples. Lots of vanilla, really big, long finish. And even though I feel like it's a little on the young side, the casking was exceptional. And it's super sippable at whatever high strength this is. I want to say it's beyond 57 and no more than 61. Oop.
Mark, what you might be drinking there might be a Buffalo Trace William LaRue Weller BTAC.
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think it is. Wait. I see Binny's on there. It says Binny's.
Okay.
Binny's pick. So it's a Binny's pick. I just caught that in the light here. Maybe that does say William. Is there a Binny's pick William LaRue Weller?
No, it would just be a BTAC. It would just be William LaRue Weller. But you said wheated, so that it's a wheated bourbon, so that's why I'm thinking that's what that might have been.
But is that a Binny's pick?
No.
Huh. Well, then it can't be that.
Okay.
So this clearly says Binny's pick on it. Binny's pick. Yeah, I can read Binny's pick here. Well, there's a 12. Okay, so something 12. Binny's pick, and it's 59%. So Can you think of which one was 59%
We
and
have to
12 years
go-
old?
I'm gonna go look on the bourbon bar.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's a weeded, I'll be impressed. But it's a 12-year-old bourbon, and I said that it's young. Well, you know. Anyway, Old Elk wheat whiskey, maybe.
Okay,
12.
yeah, I have no idea, Mark.
Ah,
I should have written
okay.
these down.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a 12 Benny's pick, and it says 59%. So check that later. I'll put that in the comments because this video will stay, for infinity, basically, after we close up the live tonight. Oh, and there's a little bit of char. Now, how could that have come through the filter? There's no way. That doesn't make sense. Or that was the pepper that I had in my croque monsieurs that I made tonight. Okay, so that was that. Now, should we open the bottle, or should we try another sample together and do an actual review with it? What do you think? Firstly, Joe, what do you think? Review a sample or get to the unknown bottle that's right here? Oh, and it's got flat sides. So it's oval shaped and the sides are flat. Okay, so that's another hint.
Why don't we ask the viewers what they want first?
Okay.
No, it's coming to me what that 12 was. I'm just trying to think what the name of that bourbon was. It was when it comes to me, I will let you know. I'm going to jump on my phone here.
Okay. Okay, and I'm just checking in Facebook here. We've got Richard Lee that's joined in. Hi, Richard. Thanks for popping in. I don't know what was so funny. Maybe it was the squeezing of the coffee filter. Anyway, thanks for popping in. Come and check us out on YouTube. A little bit easier to keep in touch. I'll try to watch for the comments as well, but whichever way is best for you. Okay, we have one comment about the oval canister. The oval canister is probably an older Highland Park. I will guess Dark Origins. That's a very good guess. That was oval. In fact, I have a Highland Park 2001. That was a travel pick that I bought two. I opened one, drank it before I started the channel. I still have the other one. So yeah, they're definitely oval shaped with flat sides. So very, very good, good comment. And that was Cohen. And Cohen, I feel like either number one, you have you're really into Superman and the Krypton, the planet of Krypton, and Kryptonians and their names, and you just kind of change your name to Cohen, or possibly I don't think I have any Korean friends named Cohen. No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be Cohen. It'd be Cohen. So anyway, so just I'm wondering what's your name. Really interesting name, Cohen. So anyway, great having you along. Okay, so we have Chris Beaton who says Old Pulteney 17, and oh man, Chris, I really wish that it was. I'm down to one bottle, so if there's another one in there, I'm gonna flip my lid. I'm gonna absolutely flip my lid. So that's a good guess. But anyway, people, do you want a sample review of something that I have here? We won't do the Ardmore. The Ardmore will be peated. So we got Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. We have Bren French Single Malt. We have Starward Benny's Pick, 3 years in French Oak, 55.6% ABV. And we have an E.H. Taylor. So do you want to see one of these? Or would you like to get into the mystery bottle that my good friend Chicago Joe sent to me? So what would you prefer?
Hey, Mark, I figured out what the bottle was.
Oh, okay. What is it?
So it is, let me find this. It's a Milliman Green 12-year bourbon.
What's the name again?
Millum and Green.
Millum and Green. Okay.
It was
12-year bourbon.
12-year bourbon. It was a Benny store pick, and it was right up there with those Buffalo Trace BTACs, the antique collection bourbons. Is very solid bourbon. So
okay, I can see green now, and the green has an E on the end, right?
Yes.
Okay. And 59%.
Yes, that was the last of my bottle. So that's why it's no longer on my shelf, and I couldn't figure it out. I had that sample waiting for you for a very long time.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to try to get some more of this out. Oh, come on.
But for anybody, if you see it on the shelf, right there, it's a Millum and Green, especially the 12-year. I think they have a 6-year. It's very solid bourbon.
Oh, well, I mean, it smells really good. Like I said, it's got an incredible finish and just big vanilla and that stewed or caramelized apple flavor and an insane finish. So pretty amazing, 59%, but it's really sippable. So how'd I do? I mean, I don't know if that is weeded or what. But,
yeah, I'm sure there's a level of wheat in that one because it was definitely one on the sweeter side. You got him.
I got him. Okay, there he goes. I'll keep calling those little guys my little mini Rexes. So hopefully Rex will come and comment. That'd be funny. Okay. And there's a very light, sweet kind of a spearmint / appley note. That's what's making me feel like it's got a wheat in there. So super tasty. Oh, okay, so Koen is Japanese. Means garden. Okay, awesome. And another question, since we're at it, is that a pure Japanese character, as in is it called not the kanji, but the other ones, the ones that look like letters? Is it written with that, or do you have a kanji character name as well? I'd like to know that. As for someone who lived in Asia, right next to Japan for 13 years in Korea, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Oh my, Joe! I just saw this. What the heck? I thought this was just a bunch of bubble wrap. And look at that. What is in there? Oh man! So this is great. Oh, beautiful. So here we are. We are enjoying a nice live stream with Joe Gulino, and we're talking a little bit about his new Facebook group called Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. And he goes and sends me a glass, and it's amazing. And by the way, that's not painted; that's etched, and they're done really, really well. And Joe sent me a bunch of these as well, which will be the next edition of the WhiskyWhistle glasses. My current ones look like this. So that's going out to patrons on Patreon. And I think I've sent out about 5 of them so far. So the other 8 patrons will get theirs in due time. Okay. And of course, Joe has a WhiskyWhistle glass. He's also got a Winnipeg Whiskey Club glass as well. We're going to work on switching over those etching to the new style that you get done down there. And I was really hoping to come and grab some of those this summer, but again, the border is not open. I can't travel to Joe. If Joe wanted, he could travel up to Canada, but unfortunately, my house is not set up for guests just yet. So so bear with me, Joe. Okay, so excellent. So did people decide? We're going to have to decide right now, a mystery bottle or one of the samples here. What would you like to see next on this live stream? Oh, it's a multiple kanji. So it's more than two, Cohen. So it's more than two. That's interesting. Okay, so Donner Pass Whiskey says mystery bottle. And unless we get a sudden flood of people saying sample, then that's what we'll check out. Mystery bottle. Oh, it looks like it's unanimous here. Okay, well, I guess we'll do that then. Oh, mystery bottle and then crack some E.H. Taylor. Okay, Chris, you got it. Joe, can we do that?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so here we go, the mystery bottle. Okay. What is it? Oh, Chris Beaton is partially right. It's an old Pulteney. And I got to look at the other side of the label here. So it's this, actually, it's almost a dead ringer for the color of my logo. Oh, amazing. So it's Old Pulteney Navigator. So, I mean, I've never been able to try this. I hear such good things. I've got some friends in the Winnipeg Whiskey Club that say this is to die for. So that's awesome. And I think it traveled well. Joe packed it impeccably well. I'll have to use these paper towels to clean up all of the broken glass later. Oh, okay. Yeah, really well packed. Good job. Oh, incredible. So now that is that's from their older selection of bottles. I think they switched the line over. I think it was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago they switched that line up. And I'll put that over here for now. No, you can't even see that. Okay, well, we'll go there for now anyway. And we don't need this on there. What does this little thing say? Do you like these or do you hate them? Is it excess packaging or is it good marketing? Sometimes I like them if they have good information, but other times it's just nothing. Sometimes it's exactly the same thing that's written on the bottle. But no, it says Old Pulteney Navigator is handcrafted using the traditional methods of the 1800s. The unique shape of the pot stills, the time-honored condensation method, and the northern sea breeze absorbed by the casks during the years of maturation all contribute to the distinctive style of the whiskey with its smoothness, complexity, and unmistakable coastal character. Okay, so that's that. And we'll get that opened. And Joe, have you got some at the ready there?
I do.
Oh, amazing.
Mark, just look at the color, like through the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
It just the way the Scotch displays through this bottle is just insane.
Not to mention, it's amazing how the back image becomes so big when you look at the bottle from the front. So gorgeous design, but yeah, super. It's a very very, very copper, almost brassy color. Yeah, I'll call that brass. Fantastic. Okay. Anyway, a quick shout out also to all of my fellow whiskey tubers that are going to the Bastards Ball. For example, Roy at Aquavita, he's headed there, and Scott and Bart from Scotch Test Dummies, they're there, and quite a few others. Whiskey. Whiskey. No, I think Whiskey Dictionary. He's not going. Bill's not going. Oh, amazing. Even the cork smells awesome. And I think I'll have to wash that one. Hey, Joe?
Should be good to go.
Okay, well, we'll christen it. I'll do the Richard Patterson move. Go like that. Except I'm not going to throw it out. I'm going to throw it in my mouth. And all over my face. Okay, my aim is terrible. Okay, here we go. Pour a nice healthy dram. Now, by the way, that really opened my sinuses. However, I don't recommend snorting your whiskey. Yeah, gorgeous bottle. And in fact, it's really unique. I didn't notice that it's got waves on the glass, which you don't get from the other old Pulteneys. Of course, this one is no age statement. However, surely this is beyond 10 years old. And I'm guessing just because of the way old Pulteney works, I'm guessing the average age is over 12. All right, so a big cheers to you, Joe. Joe, this is incredible.
Yep.
You shouldn't have done this. I wasn't expecting that, and I mean, I'm thrilled, I'm touched, and I can't wait to get down to Chicago and give you a big, huge malt hug.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, and just checking through the comments, we have Donner Pass, who's talking about hoping that he had stashed OP12 when it was 43%. Yeah, that would have been smart. And Chris Beaton goes, looks awesome. Never had any old Pulteney. Is it all pretty good? Chris Beaton, if you haven't tried old Pulteney yet, then I would highly recommend that you get to it. And I really do like the entry level. Actually, I don't think it's entry level. The second up from entry level called Huddart, Huddart. It's super saline. It's super coastal. So give that a try. And so that's a great one. What else? I mean, the 17 is amazing. Of course, that's discontinued. The 18 is pretty good, but the price is up, and I don't think it's quite as flavorful as the 17. Joe, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to compare the 17 and the 18 from Old Pulteney.
I have not. I have this. Tried the 17. Get a lot of cocoa or chocolate on that 17.
Yeah.
The 12, that entry level 12, is really solid. And I had bought a bottle of that, and when I saw this on the shelf, the Navigator, I was curious about it, even though it said sherry on there, and I wasn't sure about sherry. As a new Scotch drinker, I bought it anyway, and this is just one of the bottles that reminds me of my early Scotch experience and my early Scotch whiskey days.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, yeah, it's pretty fantastic, that 17. If I have any 18 left, Joe, I'll send you some.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I have any Huddart left. That was Tyler's bottle. Maybe I can mooch a sample off of Tyler for you if he still has that. And Cohen is talking about the Old Pulteney 21 being super fabulous. And yeah, that's what I heard. I did try Old Pulteney 21. In fact, there's a review in the archives that was a sample from another Winnipeg Whiskey Club member, alumnus, I'll call him. And that was from, it's coming to me, Gino. So Gino, if you're watching, thanks for that sample. And Graham Young, who's a Winnipeg Whiskey Club member, he is also a super subscriber to YouTube, to WhiskyWhistle. He's over in Scotland right now, and he also sent me a variety of older Old Pulteney 21 samples. I've got to get to those. Okay, so a few other comments. We have Donner Pass, who mentions he's opening up a Ben Romick 10. Is that I guess that's a newer one, wouldn't it be? Okay, so first of all, the nose on this Old Pulteney Navigator. So that's, if you're just tuning in now, Joe just sent me a box inside of a box inside of a box. It was like a Russian doll, but a whiskey version of a Russian doll, containing one bottle of Old Pulteney, which I was not expecting, and I'm just out of my mind that Joe would send this up to me up here in Winnipeg. And then he also sent me a plethora of of samples, and we had a short mishap of one sample that broke, but I managed to get a little bit of a taste out of that. So glad I got to try that. He sent me a wonderful cigar, which I'm looking forward to maybe lighting up with him in the future. And lastly, but not least, this amazing glass from Joe's new endeavor on Facebook, Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. Check that out. And Joe, if you could text me the link. Actually, no, I'll get the link. I'll text the link to myself, and then I'll post that in the group. And folks, if you're watching, you can come and join us at Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. And I should taste this first of all. It definitely has that slight salty tinge. I'm getting salted caramels. Something like a really flaky apple pie, like a hot apple pie, with the full fat lard crust, the old fashioned crust. It's super rich. And I can tell you right now, though Thanksgiving has passed here in Canada, if people can get any of this Navigator for Thanksgiving in USA, that's a really bold, nice dram. I think it's not that much, is it, Joe? I hope not.
$60 US.
Okay, so great, not a bad price. And I think that would be a great bottle to share with your family on Thanksgiving. A light hint of cocoa in the background. And I don't know what the casking here is. Well, it says fine oak casks, whatever those are. And in case you're wondering, it states on the label right there, it says unchill filtered and natural color. So that's great.
Yeah, you're looking at a bourbon barrel maturation process, and it's going to be finished in sherry casks.
Okay, there we go. Great. Now, there are positive to great reviews online. I try not to read them because I'll never know if I'm going to review it, and I hate to taint my mind with tasting notes. But I'm thinking to myself that anybody who just gives this a slight positive review probably generally doesn't have that great of an interest in Old Pulteney. And if that's the way that they operate, then they're actually doing a disservice if you are not a brand fan of something, but it's still awesome. You've got to figure out a way to say that, it's not my favorite, but I can see that this is a fantastic X. That's a great way to word it. But, so try to be positive. If you see something that is maybe not your favorite whiskey, but that is super quality. And if you're all about sherry casks and, someone gives you a bourbon cask, you're like, it's okay. There's something wrong in there. You've got to try to figure out a way to learn to better appreciate some of the other casks that come into your clutches, or if it's a little bit peated, or if it's got a little bit of sulfur. Okay, anyway, I didn't even taste this yet, so cheers. Now, coming from a bourbon, it's so different. And I feel like there's wafts of peat in there. I don't know if this is especially, peat meaning like less than Springbank, for example. And about the typical level of peatiness that most unpeated whiskeys are. So, in fact, there's not that many whiskey distilleries in Scotland that don't use any peat at all. So some of them just use a tiny little bit, and it's got like 2 to 3 parts per million of phenolic content. And people call it unpeated. Peat heads will say it's unpeated, but it's there. So a tiny little bit of peat. I will give this a full-on review very soon, but again, it's got some great orchard fruits like apple, some poached pears maybe. Joe, what kind of fruits do you get with this one?
Definitely getting that apple note that you're talking about, and yeah, that pear is there as well. Just an incredibly fruity expression, and for $60 at a non-age statement, worth it.
Mm-hmm. Sending a quick note to everybody in the chat room.
A little bit of cocoa on the back end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like that little touch of cocoa that you got in here. And from my point of view, in order to get a little bit of cocoa in your whiskey, typically it's coming from a sherry cask, and typically that sherry cask is a real, honest to goodness sherry cask, and not just seasoned for a couple of years. And it even could be a second fill, it could be third fill, but a good cask is a good cask is a good cask, whether it's first fill, second fill, third fill. It just needs the right amount of time to get that little bit of effect on the distillate in the barrel.
And definitely getting that distinct old Pulteney seaside salty maritime malt character to it. You can, if you did this blind, at least myself, I would definitely know this is old Pulteney right off the get-go.
Yeah. And for people who are up on the new selection of old Pulteney, this has less coastal salinity than Huddart, but it has more than the 12-year-old, and definitely more than the 18 as well. And it's got a nice warm zingy finish, sweet, kind of like fizz candies, the Willy Wonka fizz candies. I think they're owned by Nestle now, like everything else. But what's nice about the salinity, it's adding minerals. It's adding sodium, which is a metal, and it's actually shifting the alkalinity, if that's a word, of this whiskey, and adding kind of like the same thing that a branch water does for bourbon. Those casks sitting by the ocean seem to have the same effect of kind of smoothening, softening, making something a little bit more mouth coating, a little bit more, for lack of a better word, soft in terms of the way it feels in the mouth. And it seems to carry that sweetness very nicely. All right, we have Lowell Bethel who's joined in, and really, really happy to have you here. And I'm really thrilled to hear that you think that the content, the commentary is outstanding, and that things look professional. I do try. And it's great having Joe. Joe, whatever camera you're using, it looks great. Your audio sounds fantastic. And that glass, I got to tell you, that glass is just gorgeous. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. So I'm having this old Pulteney Navigator in your glass, and you're having it in my glass?
Yep.
Okay, we got to clink glasses here. There we go. All right, now Lowell is asking what days and times my show is on. And this has been a problem that's plagued my channel since the beginning. I've got a young family, 9, 7, and 5-year-old, all daughters, and it really makes it difficult to get into a set schedule. That's high up on my list of to do for the new year, is to get a schedule for live streams and also a schedule for my reviews. So at present, I think I'm back up to about 1 to 2 reviews a week. And I'll try to do at least 1 live stream a month for now, hopefully 2, and eventually 1 a week once I have the time and the effort, and can put forth the effort, and also can find the guests that will want to join me on WhiskyWhistle. So that's a great question, but thank you very much for joining in. Don't forget to subscribe and all that. It really helps the channel. And by all means, if anybody has any constructive comments, somebody was talking about the placement of my mic. So for the last couple of reviews, my mic has been placed right here, which has positive effects for sound quality, but not for the viewing. So I'll try to figure that out. I'm going to put my camera a little bit higher, and I'll set the mic down a little bit lower so that there's kind of a good in between of facial view and also good sound quality. So, but anyway, any comments, any constructive comments that you'd like to make, please let me have it. Just remember, if you're going to throw daggers at me, I'm going to throw them back at you. So, okay, good. Let me try another sip of this one. And I wanted to add some water. And I think I'm going to do something really fun here. So how many of you have seen these around? Joe, do you see these in Chicago?
I have never seen that before.
Okay, so this is spring water that I think is bottled at source. If not bottled at source, then they ship it in an inert container and then bottle it wherever they bottle these. So this is whiskey source, using the Gaelic writing for whiskey, which means water, by the way. So whiskey source, water of Scotland, to complement Highland malt whiskey. So we'll give this a try. And then I'll put this in a review. I've got the Isla, I've got Speyside, and I've got Highland. So I'll try those another day, but I want to just try this now since we've got a nice Highland malt here with us. Does anybody have any of these? Have you seen them? Have you thought to yourself, that might be a good idea? And I think it's a fun idea. I don't know if it's especially important what kind of water you're using. I don't like to use tap water unless you're from a place that has really, really, let's say, neutral pH or slightly alkaline tap water that has very low silt. Winnipeg's water is really silty. Okay, so
Mark, we have something here in the United States. It's a Kentucky limestone water that they bottle for that same purpose.
Yep.
I don't
Branch.
have
It's called Branch, right?
I forget the name of the brand, but they do bottle it and sell it.
Okay, just a little bit of water. That was about half a teaspoon. Yeah, I want to get some of the Branch, like the Kentucky limestone water for bourbon as well. I think that'd be great. And you can see right away there's a little bit of flocking that's going on. So you can see that the color of the whiskey is turning more lemony. Can you guys see that on the camera?
Gorillas in the mist.
Exactly. I'm gonna use that. I mean, regularly.
Mark, I actually have seen that movie, even though I was born.
Oh, you did?
I have seen that movie many times.
Cool.
That's the same actress from Aliens, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yes, absolutely. Great movie.
Okay, so anyway, so to my eyes, it's a little bit opaque, and I think if I use my, I'll try this. I go like this with my camera, with my flashlight. Maybe you can see the opacity, the opaque nature of this now. Let's try this way. Maybe not. Okay, there. So you can see how white the liquid gets when I shine the light through. That's because it's flocking. And if we were at a rave right now with strobe lights and black lights, then this would probably light up like a Christmas tree. You get some water in there. Cheers, Joe. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay, so Cohen uses Kangen structured water. Is that a Japanese brand? So from my perspective, this particular water, which doesn't say anything about the mineral content. Oh, here we go, a little bit. Okay, total dissolved mineral salts 302. So this would be quite alkaline, more so than the spring water that I typically add to whiskey. Yeah, look at that. Yours also is super getting super hazy. So when I add the water, I'm getting more saltiness, more, and of course, I mean, everybody knows you can't smell salt. However, salted toffees, any kind of dessert or whatever that's salted, it gives off a different aroma. And it seems to, the salt usually kind of like ramps up the sweetness in some way. In fact, this might sound crazy, but my mother often used to, well, she used to formerly, to dash salt on her watermelon, which I just like, I never took on that that custom, that's for sure. But she says it just makes it sweeter.
Yeah, Mark, I was just going to say that this adding a little bit of water definitely made this whiskey sweeter.
Mm.
Absolutely. Getting a little hint of orange when they add the water.
Mm-hmm. Orange and like a touch of orange marmalade.
Mm-hmm.
And Cohen mentions that this kangen, is it kangen? I think it's probably kangen. It's a Japanese water structuring machine, okay, that makes water alkaline and mineralized. Okay, that's neat. So it's a mineralizer, essentially. It adds minerals to water. So you can take, for example, distilled water that has no minerals at all, put it through your kangen machine, and it'll come out with tasting like spring water. That's pretty cool. Okay. Acetic, neat. So it seems like when you add a little bit of lemon to your water, it seems to quench your thirst a little bit better. I'm guessing it's probably a similar thing. Look at that. See, like that is just so. I probably didn't add as much as you, Joe, but mine also.
Yeah, that's very cloudy.
I'm going to add a little bit more. But I feel like everything about this whiskey is crescendoed with water added.
Pretty solid for a non-age statement.
I'll say.
Yeah.
And honestly, if this had an age statement, I guarantee that it would be above 9 years old, but probably has a lot of 10, 12, maybe even some 14-year-old barrels in this blend, in this vatting, I should say. I should probably not use the word blend.
And at $60 US, what is that a Canadian?
It's about $82 maybe, which is, I mean, still a very good price.
Right.
Can't get the right angle here. I'll try from underneath again. Anyway, so yeah, super super misty. And I'm just going to sing a bar of that crazy song from the 90s. Voodoo, wonderful magic. Gorillas in the mist.
I feel like that's going to be our new slogan.
I like it. I like it. I think a t-shirt could be in order.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't mind me. I'm going to light up a cigar here since.
Oh, jealous. Super jealous. I can't have that in here. Dang it. So you must have, I mean, hopefully, have you got some really good ventilation in there?
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, this is fantastic. I mean, I think I'd have to try it with just regular low mineral spring water, and maybe also some distilled water to really compare. But this whiskey source, Water of Scotland, is really doing some nice things here with my old Pulteney Navigator that was a gift from Joe, who's joining me on the channel today. And if you're just joining in, again, we had an unboxing that went on today. It was the WhiskyWhistle first the mailbox live stream, and inside this big box was a smaller box that had inside yet another box. It was a box in a box in a box. And well, I mean, technically that's a box as well. So it was a box in a box in a box in a box. And with that, there was also a bunch of samples, which is fantastic. We're going to crack one of those shortly. And E.H. Taylor, that's what Chris Beaton suggested. And there was also this fantastic glass, which I have christened from Joe's first YouTube channel. Pardon me, I didn't call it. It's not a YouTube channel. It's a Facebook group, pardon me, called Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. And maybe he will start a YouTube channel at some point for that. Could be good.
Yeah, I'll call it Gorillas in the Mist.
All right. So, great stuff. That's about as good as any younger aged bourbon cask Scotch single malt. And the finishing in sherry casks is really just giving it a little kiss of flavors like cocoa, a little bit of orange marmalade, and I think also a little bit of strawberry jamminess.
Yeah, this was my first experience with a sherry or sherry influenced Scotch, and this bottle just has always just been on my mind. I hadn't seen it in years, Mark, and I came across 3 bottles on the shelf at a store here in the city, and I bought all 3 bottles and sent one right to you.
Thank you. Incredible. And I swear to goodness, I did not read these tasting notes. These are pretty honest tasting notes on the back here. I'll just read those to you. Appearance, honeycomb. I said brass. Aroma, sweet and crisp. Layers of tangy apples. I mentioned the apples. And dried fruit. I didn't mention dried fruit per se. Harmonized with subtle hints of dark chocolate. I mentioned cocoa and fresh vanilla custard for sure. The taste, full-bodied and rich in flavor. The palate delivers a burst of honey, cocoa, and oranges. We said all of that. I mentioned a little bit of strawberry jam and a nice, long-lasting, spicy finish with maritime surprise. They're forgetting the salty, the salinity on there. So it's got a good amount of salinity. So if you're looking for something that's coastal, like many islands, so-called islands region Scotch whiskies, like Tobermory or Arran, Highland Park. This is also coastal and seems to really get a lot of influence from the salty sea air. So pretty awesome stuff. Okay, final little taste of this. And then let's crack into that E.H. Taylor. Cheers. And Cohen wants to know what kind of a stick you're smoking there.
All right, so this is Baca. This is by our guys here in Texas, Roma Craft. This is a unique stick in the sense that they use or feature a African wrapper leaf, okay, which I've never had on any cigar ever. And the flavor is just insane and unique. And I bought a whole box of them as soon as I could. I just enjoy it. It's a solid cigar. You can see it's a dark cigar. It's a full-bodied cigar, very veiny, very enjoyable. Not for your beginner type cigar smoker, but that's what it is. It's Baca.
Wow. I mean, first of all, I've never heard of African tobacco leaves. So that's really fantastic.
Yes.
Speaking of, I wonder, I mean, the Korean tobacco market is generally centered on cigarettes, like almost like your stereotypical idea of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, the Northeast Asian countries. A lot of cigarette smoking. But I wonder, I mean, obviously they can grow tobacco there. And I wonder if there's any companies doing anything with cigars in places like Korea or Japan that are not like, not a cigarillo, not a cigar looking cigarette, which, it's just like, you know what, do one or the other. You can't really, like, that doesn't work for me. Anyway, that would be cool.
One more look at the cigar here. Baca, if you guys see this on the shelves, if you're a seasoned cigar smoker and you're looking for something different, like a unique flavor or a full-bodied experience, this is it.
Now, look at this. Joe sent me a Russo pour sample.
Oh, yeah, filled to the brim.
Oh, look at that. Russo pour. So
I think we got to explain what the Russo pour is.
Well, you want to take a crack at it about
sure. Okay, so Eric Russo is on Whiskey, Bourbon, and Scotch Enthusiasts, also on a couple other different groups. But what this guy will do is insane. He will fill his Glencairn all the way to the top, and he will drink it in one sip, and that guy's insane. Kudos to that guy. Kudos to the Russo pour. We'll send this to him.
Too funny. All right. Yeah, so this is E.H. Taylor, and it's barrel proof. Looks like another 59. 50. No, I can't read the 56. No, wait a minute. 65? Yeah. 65.5. Holy crap. Okay.
Well, this is
Now,
one of the bourbons that bourbon lovers are just absolutely trying to get their hands on here in the States. This bottle could go for 1,000 plus on the secondary
that's
market.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
nuts. Wait a minute. So this is like, let me see. Let me do the math here. 1/25 of $1,000 is $40. So that's a $20 sample right there. Okay. So I'm going to pour just half of this so I can save a little bit for a review. A little bit more. There we go. I'll put that in a review coming up. Just because, you know, how do you not do a formal review of E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof? Makes no sense.
This is EHT right out of the barrel. Guys are trying to get their hands on this like crazy.
I think Joe's got a lot of connections.
It's possible. I am Italian.
All right, so I've poured that in the Whiskey Whistle glass that Joe sent up to me. Those will be the next edition for Patreon patrons and anybody who wants a Whiskey Whistle glass. As soon as I can get down to Chicago and pick some of these up.
These are great glasses. This is probably one of my favorite glasses to drink out of.
So the first thing I want to say, now I've had E.H. Taylor before, but I've never had this. I think I've had the, what is it, the 4 grain or something like that? I've had the 4 grain.
Okay, yeah.
But the nose is extremely approachable, even for a single malt Scotch whiskey lover. So if you are well heeled and you're looking for a nice bourbon to add to your collection and really enjoy, but also, you know, wow some of your friends, some of your cronies, I can already tell that this is one of them. Is there any age on this, Joe?
Let's see here. I don't think there is. It is 65.15% ABV, so it's 130.3 proof. I don't think there is an age statement on any of them. Yeah, no age statement. But this is, Mark, this is literally the bottle that you are sipping out of right now.
Awesome, awesome. Beautiful. Look how dark it is. So, I mean, I could probably sit here and just smell this for a good hour. It's that appealing. It's that enjoyable, even just smelling it. And I've never done this before, but I feel like I really gotta. I mean, I just gotta dab a little bit back there, a little bit back there. Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Now, just before we get into this, Lowell Bethel asked a really good question that I'll try to address just very briefly. He asked, how long is a bottle of whiskey good after you open it? And I'll start by saying that it really depends on how much you've drunk. So if you are above, let's say 30%, so if you've only had, if you've had no more than 70% of the content, you should be able to keep it in the bottle for a couple, 3-4 years without much degradation. There will be degradation, but not that much. And if you're in a hotter climate, that'll happen sooner. And the reason it happens sooner is because as the weeks and months pass, the alcoholic strength of the whiskey that's left in the bottle will drop. And then it's really going to affect the overall flavor of the whiskey. It might be good, it might be bad. You really don't know. And if it's a low ABV, like 40%, it'll probably be okay. In fact, you might actually gain some proof if you're in a hot climate. But if it's a high proof, for sure it's going to drop and it's probably not going to be as bold as it was in the beginning. It might be softer. There could be some benefits, but probably mostly there'd be detriments to your whiskey. Beyond that, if you get down to like the last couple or 4 ounces in a bottle, then probably it's best to maybe consume that within 6 months. And if it's only been just open and you had a bunch of friends over and you've only got a little, tiny heel left in the bottle, then bottle them into samples like this, and just use some indelible ink or whatever and write down what that is. Tuck it away, save it for a rainy day, or do what I do and save it to compare with another version of the same thing. Let's say the next year that it comes out. And I don't know, Joe, what do you do with your heels?
Well, first and foremost, like you mentioned, buy barrel proof, buy high proof whiskeys if you're gonna keep them stored for a long time. Definitely keep them in a darker location, out of the sun. But you'll notice as those whiskeys get that aeration, they change, and more often than not, they become amazing. This particular DH10 or barrel proof that you're sipping on now has been in the bottle for quite some time, so it's opened up a little bit. So it's definitely gonna have a high impact on your palate there, Mark. Knowing your palate.
So again, the nose, unmistakable dark chocolate. There is some blonde roasted coffee. And buttercreams. There's even a tiny little bit of saltiness to this as well. Some creme brulee, especially with the heavily toasted, crackled, caramelized sugar on top.
Right. And so this is Buffalo Trace. I mean, here in the States, just their basic Buffalo Trace entry level expression, you'll see on the shelves 1 per or two per customer. People just go crazy over this kind of stuff. Your EHTs, definitely your BTACs, even your Blantons, your Eagle Rares, or your just like I said, your entry level Buffalo Trace. But what you're drinking, Mark, guys and girls go crazy about.
So the proof is 65 point. $65.5?
It is 65.15.
0.15. Yeah, incredible. And I mean, like, I haven't even tasted it yet, and I'm already super thrilled that that I get to try this with you and with everybody. Okay, so there's also some nice leatheriness, and it reminds me a little bit more of a bourbon from a decade or two ago, and less like new bourbons. And I can tell it's overall it's not going to be as sweet. It's going to be a little bit more balanced and much more complex than, let's say, your typical high proof, 4 to 7 year old bourbon. Okay, I'm gonna jump in there. Joe, awesome. This is just fantastic. Thank you so much. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. I'm gonna pour some myself.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Hope you're having a great night. And tell us what you're pouring. Are you sipping along and watching, or is it in the afternoon? somewhere in Asia or in the Middle East or in Europe, early morning in Europe, and you're thinking to yourselves, wish I was drinking with Mark and Joe. And if so, let us know what you would have.
Is that nose incredible?
It's just fantastic. And a little bit of tobacco. In fact, a lot of tobacco. And it seems like when I induce evaporation by getting it up on the wall of the glass, I get some more fresh cut tobacco. Yeah. I'm salivating. I'm going to dive in here, Joe. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Yeah. I drink this stuff when I'm watching the Bears play because it's a high proof. I need the high alcohol content when I'm watching the Bears. Although they did win last weekend.
Go Bears. I mean, it's a kapow experience for sure. It's big proof. You notice the big proof. You like the big proof, and I'm enjoying the big proof on this. And I don't know if people that are watching, if you know that this is overproof. So this is beyond the proof that the barrel was filled. The barrel was filled no more than 62.5%, as per American laws. And it gained proof up to 65.15. And they obviously used very high fidelity. What's that stupid contraption called? You test the alcohol with a. It's gone. I have a few of them for when I use this copper contraption over here. That guy. Hydrometer. There it is. Hydrometer. Okay, so they must be using a really high fidelity hydrometer to be able to get down to the 500th of a percent. Okay, and we got Chris Beaton. He's having some Last Straw straight corn whiskey cask strength. So that's from Canada. That's from Ontario, I think, isn't it? I think it is. And which one is that, Chris? That wouldn't happen to be Rob's cask, would it? Rob from Whiskey in the Six. At least Mark, I hope that's the one from Ontario.
Mark, did you say we got Rob from Whiskey in the Six on board?
Oh, no, I didn't see that yet. I'm a little bit behind here.
If he is, huge fan. Cheers from Chicago.
Well, great having you if you are here. Okay, so yes, it is his. So that's amazing. So really curious to try that. And Chris, what do you think? Is that a bottle that's worth getting, or at least for me, trying to finagle a sample? Oh, not Rob's pick. It's just a distillery version. Okay. That's really, really heady. It's super intense, and well, for lack of better water, I'm going to add a little bit of this high alkaline Highland Scotch water in there. Now, who's that funny jackass of a comedian on all over the media lately. He just put up a hilarious video about whiskey geeks. What the heck is his name? I think everybody's been seeing this today. I've got it here somewhere. Today, yesterday. Okay, here it is. Trevor Wallace. Okay, Trevor Wallace. And I'll just put this here since...
Whiskey because I am better than everybody. I love bourbon because of how smooth it is. What is this, only aged for 2 years? Get this toddler out of here. This one gives subtle tones of cedar oak.
All right, pretty funny stuff. Anyway, so this is so high octane. I kind of feel like him choking back on that 2-year-old bourbon.
Mark, do you have the William Lou Weller or the George T. Stagg sample there? Or those? How did those come through?
Were those bigger samples or smaller ones?
Can't recall.
And I want to say, so I added some water here. I added this high alkaline water. And I kid you not, it is so much like an unlit cigar. It's like a cigar in my glass. So really earthy, really chocolatey, really coffee. Just all of those dark flavors, some leather tones, and that slight kind of, well, for lack of a better word, that tobacco note. So much like tobacco. It's like tobacco. I've never had a bourbon that smells this close to tobacco. Okay, so I've got, no, that's none of these. Okay, so that's not those. So if it's one of the ones you just sent, then I have to see what I got here. And Lowell Bethel, thanks for joining. And cheers back to you. And Atlanta, another place I'd love to visit. So looks like you got an amazing town. Hope to see you again. Cheers. I can't quite make this out. Let me try a backlight. Okay, backlight's a little bit better. It starts with an SI, whatever this is. Something stout.
That's gonna be that milk stout. That's Sinister. Does it say Sinister on the bottle or on the sample?
Yes. Okay, that one and this one. Wait a minute. Does this say 67? Is one of the ones you sent to me 67%?
That's gonna be this Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is the 2020 bottle. Again, this is on the secondary market. You're looking at over $1,000, Mark.
That's nuts. Yeah. I'm gonna have to mark that down so that I don't forget.
And people do pay that for this kind of bottle.
I know. In fact, so that's actually what it's worth. I mean, when you talk about
this is a weeded
economy.
Bourbon. This is a weeded bourbon. I want to say this is about 15 years old.
Okay, well, I'm going to try a bit of this, but I'm going to save the rest of the E.H. Taylor and this W.L. Weller for an honest-to-goodness review.
So that the William Lou Weller is probably my favorite bourbon.
Okay, let me just polish off this last little bit of the E.H. Taylor. Wait, is that the E.H. Taylor? Right? Yeah. Okay, now the tobacco has subsided. And I've got corn silk. candy corn, salted corn nuts. Cool. Okay. Down the hatch. Cheers, folks. Adding that water really made it much more accessible. And I know there's guys and gals out there that like drinking bottle strength, cask strength whiskey. But you're missing out if you don't try at least a little bit of water, at least 1 glass per bottle. I mean, just 1 glass, half a glass even. Start your glass, finish half, add a little bit of water, let it sit for about 10 minutes, see how it is. Am I right? Joe, do you typically add water, or are you always drinking bottle strength?
If I'm drinking barrel proof bourbon, I'm just drinking it neat without adding any water.
Wow, that's pretty intense. Well, I got to say that E.H. Taylor brought out a huge ramp up of tobacco, and was a little bit more accessible with certain flavors on the palate too. So, okay, so this is a 67.7%. Can you flash that bottle again for us?
Sure.
Okay.
And this is the bottle that you're drinking out of, Mark.
I mean, insane, insane. And if you're watching this, and if you're liking what you're seeing with the bottle that Joe's holding up, you know, throw up some comments, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out his Facebook group, Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. All right, so Lowell Bethel, God bless you as well. He says he learned a lot about whiskey, and I'm super thrilled, and I hope you'll come back again. And he says that we're both very knowledgeable, and you know, I think I'm okay with being called knowledgeable. I'm still not an expert per se, but you know, it's like helping somebody who's just getting into a hobby with something. Maybe they're in your taekwondo, your dojo or whatever it's called, and you're showing them some moves, right? It's the same thing. So cheers.
And that's exactly it, Mark. I would never be here at this level of whiskey sipping if it wasn't for your reviews, your knowledge that you share with everybody through your YouTube channel. You know, this is definitely one of my greatest hobbies, and the level that I'm at right now is solely because of you.
Oh man, that is just too enormous a compliment, Joe. But I'll take it. That's great. Thanks so much. And Lowell, thank you very much. Okay, so 67.7%. And you got to approach this like you would a tiger. Okay, so if you're going to get your face up to a tiger, even if it's a cub, you're going to go up very slowly. Okay, so approach this tiger of a whiskey very slowly.
And again, this is a weeder bourbon, so this is going to be a little sweeter than the last one that you had.
And I was going to say, it's altogether a different beast, and you can tell. But anyway, so keep your nose away at first. And start farther away and see what you smell. And then get a little bit closer. I can tell it's a lot spicier.
In the same range, there's a Weller Full Proof. There's Weller 12. There's Weller Special Reserve. There's the Weller Antique
Right.
At 107, people go crazy about these Weller bottles, Mark. Bourbon drinkers, this is the stuff they're trying to get their hands on.
Is there one that starts with a C, CYPB?
Yeah, that's create your perfect bourbon. That's what that stands for. That's aged on one of the floors there in the warehouses over there at Buffalo Trace. But what you're drinking is the top of the line.
%. Nuts. That's just nuts. Okay, so it's spicier. I'm getting some white and pink peppercorn. And by the way, if you're listening and you're thinking to yourself, why do all of Mark's peas sound poppy? And that's because I just bought a pop filter, but it's too damn big. So what do you think? Should I use this, or should I use it like maybe a Squid Game Halloween costume? Anyway, that's too big. So yeah, my peas will sound poppy until I get the pop filter that fits my mic nicely. Oh, wow. Okay. So it really develops in the glass. So just like an older single malt Scotch whiskey, you should let that sit in glass and come back and smell it, or just continuously give it a good nosing over the course of, let's say, 10 minutes at least. So I'm getting legit caramel apples, not candy apples, but caramel apples. So a fresh, crisp, tangy Macintosh apple, dipped in hard, crunchy caramel sauce, and then it's left to dry, and you just bite in that. Oh, this is just incredible. Now, this is another whiskey that I think that a single malt Scotch lover, I mean, obviously you got to get it at retail if you can, get your name in those draws, and, probably give it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. You might win a bottle.
I was lucky enough to get this at retail, which is 120 US.
That's insane. That's insane. This already outperforms any current bourbon that I have open. And I've got Wild Turkey 17-year-old bottled and bond. I think maybe Joe, maybe you had some of that with us last year, didn't you?
Best Wild Turkey I've ever had was the Wild Turkey Diamonds. I don't know if anybody had a chance. I was actually in Kentucky at the time at a bar. The bartender was willing to do 1 ounce drams for half the price on the menu, and I tried it, and it was phenomenal. But you can't go wrong with Wild Turkey. That Wild Turkey, the barrel proof, phenomenal.
But yes, I've had a 17-year-old bottled and bond from Wild Turkey. I've got a 1792 here that I haven't cracked open yet, and that is it's just a local barrel pick, 1792 full proof for the local Manitoba Liquor Mart selection. So those are usually very good. And okay, I just love smelling this. So I'm going to smell that a little bit more because it's just incredible. And I'm going to show one more cool thing that I have here. And I've got a review in the archives of this. It was just a few months ago. And that is Rhetoric Orphan Barrel 24-year-old. So I tried that. I put it in a private event that I did for a local company, and I liked it. So I went and I bought 6 more. So Joe, I think you know what I'm saying.
This is that wild turkey. It's actually called Rare Breed. It's barrel proof, and this is only going to be about $40 US. And this is probably one of your best bargained barrel proofed bourbons on the shelf, and it's easily available for purchase.
You're right. It's typically really available locally. It's not really available in Manitoba, but you can get it from Alberta and you can ship it to yourself. And some companies ship for only about $6 a bottle if you buy, let's say, 4 or 5 bottles at once, whether it's wine, whiskey, tequila, whatever. So that's a pretty good deal. And you can usually save some cash by getting them in Alberta as well. And of course, everybody in the rest of Canada hates when I talk about this because they know that that's just going to increase the competition. But you know what? I'm here for you. I'm not here for myself. So check out the Alberta selections, Kensington Wine Market, Craft Cellars, Whiskey Drop, and Zyn, Z-Y-N. There's also Keg and Cork, but they don't ship to anywhere in Canada, only in Alberta, but you can just get it to ship to a friend, and then they'll ship it to you, or you can ship it to a packing store and they'll ship it to you as well. So anyway, back into this crazy William LaRue Weller. So the nose is really, you have to be really gentle, as I said. If you just dive in there, you're going to singe your nostrils. If you approach it really gently, then you're going to get some incredible notes, which I've started talking about the caramel candy apple.
And you wouldn't think it was such a high proof, right, Mark?
No, you wouldn't.
Right. It's just so mellowed out in the flavor.
And we've got some light tobacco here, not as much as the E.H. Taylor. And we have somebody new that's popping in, which is Whiskey Lover Society from Belgium. It's very early in Belgium. It's got to be like 7 o'clock in the morning. So good morning to you, and thanks for popping in. Okay, well, time to try this out. So again, huge cheers to you, Joe. Thank you so much for all of these extremely generous samples. And cheers, everybody, for watching, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on WhiskyWhistle and Friends Facebook group, WhiskyWhistle, the Facebook page, or here on YouTube. Cheers to all of you. And we'll talk soon. Make sure you share this video. All right, here we go.
Just an incredible wheated bourbon.
Much spicier. There's even more pink and white peppercorns on the palate, alongside a really beautiful, almost delicate creaminess, kind of like what's the name of that dessert? It's basically like a white pudding that's very lightly vanilla flavored.
But for such a high proof, just a very easy sipping bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what just boggles our mind is bourbon drinkers here from the States is how could it be such a high proof and so easy to sip?
Totally. And we've got some underripe pineapple, zingy pineapple, some I'm getting a little bit of kiwi, which is kind of cool. And it does have some good astringency. So take smaller sips and try to gather the saliva in your mouth, just to help take that edge off of the high proof of the whiskey. Beautiful brightness to it. I've got dried strawberries, some golden berries. So it's got some tartness to it, some astringency, some beautiful, delicate sweetness. And Joe, I don't know what you want to add here.
Just again, this is 2020, the year of the pandemic. I probably was only drinking bourbon and just chasing bourbon like crazy. Mark, I think I sent you maybe a 2018 or 2019 sample. I know you haven't
definitely did.
That is going to be even better than this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement, because this is already top tier.
Yeah, this high proof. What was it again? Almost 68%. I think the other one that I sent you was probably around 64%. Even more mellowed out for some reason, but just an incredible bourbon, incredible wheated bourbon, and just top tier when it comes to those wheated bourbons in the Weller line.
Well, I'll pull that out and I'll put both of these in a review, probably with the H. Taylor and some other of the the Pappy. I've got the Pappy. The Pappy came with me to Korea.
Yeah, I sent you a Pappy 20, I think, right?
You did.
Yeah.
So I took the Pappy 20 to Korea with me, thinking that I would have time during quarantine to get to it. But for the first 7 days, I was just insanely jet lagged. And then, because I was by myself, a year previous when I went with my middle child, I had company, but being alone for 2 weeks, you at least for me, not being I'm not a loner at all. I do like my alone time, but anyway, that was just too much. And I got really destructive trying to wait out the end of my quarantine in Korea. So I only got to 2. I think I did 2 videos and didn't get to the Pappy, but I'll get to the Pappy because that Pappy needs my nose and my tongue in it.
Yeah, and I will say this: any of these BTACs, these Buffalo Trace Antique Collections bottles, are better than the Pappy line.
Wow!
But the Pappy line is excellent. It's a flavor in itself, a very unique flavor. You will enjoy it, and hopefully you do get to it soon.
Now, Joe, don't hate me. I added exactly 2 drops of water into my last 5 milliliters here. And it kind of toned down the astringency. And I'm just getting a little bit more access to all the flavors here. For me, I think there are bourbon drinkers such as yourself who can appreciate it full strength. And like, if I was wearing a hat, I would take my hat off because that's pretty impressive. But for me, it looks like I top out at about 64, 65%. This is a little intense.
Yeah. For a guy who started off, on the malt side, in 2020, I spent, through an inner circle of mine, including Eric Palmer, who was on the message board a while.
Yeah, I saw that.
He convinced me to go to the dark side for a while, and the bourbon is phenomenal, but I will admit is less dimensional than the Scotch or the malt side, because you got all those different variations, those different regions of Scotland,
right?
Even American malt that just generate so many different flavor profiles that eventually I came right back to the malt side, right back to you, Mark.
Well, I mean, I've always had some bourbon content since the beginning, but I think my access to better quality bourbons has always been a limiter. So,
well, I'm your guy, Mark. There you go.
Well, there we go. I know, and that's awesome. But you know, I went to Japan and I got Evan Williams 12. So there's a review of that, and that's pretty superb. I've got just a smattering of other reviews in the archives. That Rhetoric 24 was maybe the last bourbon that I reviewed.
Okay.
I've got it's not bourbon, but Tennessee whiskey with the Jack Daniels barrel proof that was not too long ago.
Yeah.
So I'll try to ramp that up. But I mean, this is insane. And I think if I have more access to things like this, then I would probably have them on the channel more often. Wild Turkey 101, I love it. And I think that was maybe one of my first 10 or 15 reviews back in 2015, 2016. But I never buy it because I've already had it. And I don't know if I want to taint my memory of that whiskey just yet. Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. I bought a couple of bottles and I enjoy that for cocktails and, you know, just for a little bit of bourbon now and again. Yeah. But we really don't have much else than that here. We get the occasional 1792. We've got Larceny and Evan Williams, the basic bottle, the small batch. Jim Beam lineup, obviously, and what's that? What's the big Booker's? So Booker's, I mean, every year it's a bit different. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy it every year, so you know, so it's really limiting for me.
Yeah, in your sample pack there, if you're going to go to another bourbon after that, William Weller, it would be this. George T. Stagg, which I think is actually better this year than the William Rue Weller this year.
Wow.
And it is 65.2% ABV. If you could find it in your sample pack, this is what I would do next.
Well, I'll check for it. Do you have time for one more?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I want to throw up a shout out to Lowell Bethel, who has put up a lot of comments here tonight. And he's asked a really important question here. And I'll just read that verbatim here. As a new viewer, I was wondering from whence comes your initial moment you knew you loved whiskey. What was the moment? And it's really funny for me, actually. I'll have to go back to about age 14, 15, 16. Now, for the Americans who are watching, probably you've just gasped. But if you're from Europe, like our friend Whiskey Lover Society in Belgium, then you'll know that Europeans have a much different approach to whiskey in the family. Round about age 14, 15, maybe even as young as 12 with a bit of wine or a bit of beer. So my dad being from Denmark, so he moved to Canada from Denmark at age 7. He grew up in a very Danish household. And I've been over to see family numerous times to Denmark. And it's very different. It's like, you know what, if you're gonna drink, then you're gonna drink with your mom and your dad. and that'll start as soon as, I want to say, around about the age of confirmation. You know, a lot of Western European kids get confirmed in, let's say, the Lutheran church or whatever the state church is, you know, age 13, 14-ish. So probably they'll have some champagne for their confirmation. And again, to our friend in Belgium, I don't know if you can comment on this, but anyway, so I'm in Denmark, and even just at home in Winnipeg, around the table, Christmas time, Easter, and my dad, his brother and sister, and you know, Danish friends from the Winnipeg community, getting together and having some snaps, which is Danish aquavit. It's kind of like the Danish version of gin. Danish, I should say Danish, Scandinavian. Sweden makes aquavit. So does Iceland and Norway, Finland. So instead of being flavored with juniper, it's flavored with caraway as the main herbal element. Anyway, so you know, seeing them enjoy the snaps and being curious and wanting to try it, and even just having a tiny taste, and a bit of beer. You know, my dad was a big Molson Canadian or Molson export, if you're in USA, a big Molson export drinker when I was a kid. And I know the smell of Molson, and I can spot it like across the room. I'll say, oh yeah, that's someone's enjoying some Molson Canadian. So that kind of got things rolling. And then sometime around, I don't know, age 16, 17, I'm at a wedding celebration, actually a pre-wedding celebration, which in Manitoba we call a social. It's a party to raise money for the bride and groom that happens 3 to 6 months before the wedding. So I'm at a social, and I see some classic Canadian whiskey. I think it was Gibson's. And so I tried a rye. It's called rye, even though it's Canadian whiskey. Not a lot of rye in it. We still call it rye. So I had a rye and Coke made with this Gibson's. And I thought, it just tastes like Coke. What the heck? And so then I went back and just poured a little bit of the Gibson's into a glass, and I smelled it and sipped it very slowly, kind of like the aquavit my parents had kind of introduced into my olfactory senses as a younger teen. And a light turned on. I thought, yeah, I like that. And then I'm 19. My friends are all drinking beer at the bars. The minimum age here is 18 in Winnipeg. And I went straight for the Isla peated single malt whiskeys at age 19, King's Head Pub in Winnipeg, 1994. And I think that was it. I had a wine period. I had a beer period after coming going to Belgium, actually, 99, 2000. Got huge into the Belgian beers and the triples from the monasteries. But then just came right back into whiskey, and then bought my first personal bottle of single malt Scotch, which was Glenmorangie Sonalta PX. I think I had probably some Johnny Walker Red and Black before that. But Joe, what about you? What was the first thing to you that told you, you know what? Amongst all other things that I could choose to imbibe, I love whiskey.
Oh man, so buddy of mine I hadn't seen in years wants to meet up at a whiskey bar. Meet him up. I'm looking at a wall of whiskey. The bottle that sticks out like a beach ball, and you'll see this in my whiskey cigar reviews, is a bottle of Blanton's. It's got that, you know, that horse and jockey. Right on top of the bottle is Blanton's from Buffalo Trace. Have a couple glasses of that at the bar. Loved it. And from a movie, I forget the name of it. I think it's Like Crazy, where they're sipping on Lafroig. So I was like, okay, let me go buy a bottle of Lafroig because it's whiskey. And so I went right from Blanton's Bourbon to Lafroig 10 peated Scotch, and I just absolutely loved it. And rifled right through this bottle of Lafroig 10, not knowing any better. And then I go to I'm like, well, what's a cheap bottle of whiskey I could buy? And that's Monkey Shoulder. And I think everybody,
Nice.
I think every beginner whiskey drinker goes to that bottle of Monkey Shoulder. And there's about 3 different scotches in there. I think a little bit Balvenie. I think what else, Mark? I'm sure you could help me here. Shoulder.
Yeah, Monkey. I mean, obviously, Glenfiddich, 12-year-old. I'm guessing would have been one of the things that a lot of people have early on. Monkey Shoulder has really become, for many people, a gateway whiskey.
Right.
For lack of a better word, I mean, people talk about that word with another vice, and so it's got a kind of a negative connotation, but it's a whiskey that brings people into the love of whiskey, and it's really smart for William Grant and Sons to have put out this inexpensive 86 proof blended malt called Monkey Shoulder.
It's like $30 US, and I think maybe some Kinninvie in there, maybe.
Yes, yeah, Kinninvie.
So Kinninvie, Balvenie, and Glenfiddich, and I did. Oh, that was just a great $30 bottle, and then you find your Glenmorangie 10. Your original Glenmorangie on the shelf, and I haven't had it in years. I'd be curious to come back to it at this point, but. Then I fell in love with Glenmorangie. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, that I found that Glenmorangie 18, that older bottling, and I researched it on YouTube to try and find a review, and I found you, Mark, that older bottling of Glenmorangie 18. You had a sample from somebody, I think in Korea or something like that.
Yes, yeah, that was. His name is Chang-sok. So Chang-sok, maybe he's watching, maybe he will watch. So Kim Chang-sok, we're talking about you and that package of whiskey that you first sent me way back when. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, you had your green sweater on, your nice brown suit coat. You're in some kind of office setting. This is when you're first starting off a little bit.
Yes.
And the way you described the whiskey and what I was tasting was spot on. And from then on, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Just started following you from then on. I think it was around 2015. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You
would be right. 2015, maybe is either 2015 late fall or 2016 early winter, like January or February of 2016.
Yeah, and you were the only one on YouTube reviewing the Glenmorangie 18 older bottling, which is slightly peated.
Yes, yeah. Like I say, that's a funny thing about a lot of these malts. You might think they're unpeated, but really the only ones that are unpeated, I mean, you've got Glengoyne, maybe Glencadam, but there's not many.
Most of them use some peat. Glencadam, it's from what I understand, it's a smaller family-owned distillery. Glencadam 10, I could sip that all day.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
It's just a beautiful 10-year. I can't really get my hands on it lately for some reason. But that was my moment when I was sipping that older bottle of Glenmorangie 18, watching you, Mark, reviewing that little sample that you had. And the whole aura of the video was like, this is what Scotch is all about. Your green sweater and your brown suit coat jacket on.
Yes,
you're young as fuck, and but the way you were talking about it was just incredible.
Oh man, I'll put that video in the description for this video. in case people want to follow up with that. But yeah, I think that old 18 Glenmorangie is something that people can look for at auction. They wouldn't be that much more than the original price. It might be about 200 and I want to say 250 US dollars.
Spot on.
Buy it at auction.
Down the road, I was like, I got to have that bottle again, and I found it on, is it Whiskey Vault or something like that, and they shipped it to me. It was 250 and worth every penny.
There we go.
Rifled right through it. I have the bottle in my bar here somewhere, whiskey empty, because that's just a signature Scotch.
Yeah, totally. It really is. Now, a comment about this. This was the what was now the William LaRue Weller with a bit of water added. I did get some tobacco coming through there in a big way. A little bit more access. Very tasty. Very much a. It's not a beginner bourbon. This is definitely something that you want to work up to. And if you do end up winning the lottery and getting one of these, like winning the purchase lottery, and you buy one of these at retail, I would probably set a path, including Wild Turkey Rare Breed, maybe something like Stagg Junior, and try those first, and build up to. Build your palate, build your tongue's ability to manage the high proof before you get into something like this.
Right.
And I think you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, and my best recommendation, if you're looking to get your hand on those bottles at retail, come the fall when these great bourbons start coming out, is throughout the year is you buy those nice bourbons or those nice scotches, and you got a guy at a liquor store, you bring them back a sample of what you've purchased, and that signals to that typically a manager of a liquor store or even owner, that signals to that person that you're not a flipper, you're enjoying the whiskey, you're into the whiskey, you're a consumer, you're not a flipper. You're providing them a sample of the good stuff, and they're more willing to give a guy like that a bottle or the opportunity to buy a bottle like that.
100%.
They know more than likely you're going to turn around and bring them back a sample of it, and that's exactly what I do. It's not that I have a lot of connections. I'm a consumer, and I'll come back to the person who sold me that bottle, that special bottle. Like, here's a sample. At the end of the year, I'll even bring them a Christmas bottle, a thank you bottle, and those that will definitely signal and go a long way with that person selling you those special bottles.
And I'll say that whiskey, as our friend Roy over at Aquavite, he says, and I'm sure it's not whiskey until it's shared, right?
Absolutely.
So,
that's the best part about whiskey.
Yeah. And Joe said it here. Make a relationship with the people you're buying your whiskey from. And even if you're up in Canada and you are, all you have is the state-run stores to contend with, you can still make a relationship with the people who are managing the stores, the people that are the specialists. Every store in Winnipeg has a specialist, so make a relationship with them. And at the very least, you'll get advanced notice of when things are coming in, especially if that is something that is limited or has a very low quantity of release. And that's the way you got to do it.
Right.
And I think in life also, Joe.
It's not necessarily how much you're spending throughout the year, but this store manager knows that you're consuming the whiskey, you're enjoying the whiskey, you're sharing the whiskey, more importantly, you're sharing the whiskey with them, and they sell you that special bottle, and they'll be more than willing to sell you that special bottle at the end of the year. And coming back to this cigar, look at the ash.
Oh, wow.
It's holding. I'm coming towards the end of the cigar here. But the ashes, when you have a cigar that holds ash like this, you know it was packed well with good tobacco.
Hey, what's the strength on that Stagg? Is it 65.2?
It is.
Okay, so that's this one then. Okay, 65.2, eh?
And that's the perfect follow up to that William Weller. So
Awesome.
your Buffalo Trace Antique Collection Stagg, and your William Weller are probably your top of the line of those Buffalo Trace Antique Collection bottles. I'll pull it here, Mark. Again, you're looking at guys and girls trying to get their hands on this bottle. Secondary market over $1,000.
Wow.
And this one, again, I was lucky enough to get my hands on it at retail, which is,
Impressive,
again, around $100 to $120.
Okay, so I'll just put a little bit of that in there.
And I'll pour some myself.
And again, if you're just joining us, one sample broke in the box, and all of the labels have, like, the ink has become nearly illegible, but I can get a sense of the strength, 65.2. And anyway, it'll probably look more legible when I get this a little bit dried. And it says BTAC on there. Okay, awesome. Anyway, so yeah, you no matter how hard you look at the screen, you'll never see what it says there without the right lighting. Okay, so here we are. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
I see you've got the Winnipeg Whiskey Club glass going on there.
Yep.
Beautiful. Now we have Cohen, who's talking a lot about the Belgian monastery beers. He talks about the Rochefort 10, and my first thought was, wait a minute, Roquefort, Australian whiskey, but no, it's the beer. And then also the Saint Bernardus 12. That sounds pretty amazing. And by quad, he means that it's not just a triple, but it's a I believe that means 4 times fermented, maybe. Not exactly sure, but higher proof, probably like 12 to 14%, much more like a wine than a beer. Almost like a barley wine. And also, Cohen was talking about the new Glenmorangie 13-year-old cognac cask. And yes, I want that too. I still have to get to a review of this bottle, also from Joe, which I have a sample as well that I've tasted a little bit of, and it's pretty magnificent. And that is this one, the Malaga cask.
Oh, that's up there with one of my favorite Glenmorangies, and I think I sent that bottle and a sample of it to you, right, Mark?
Yes, you did. Yeah. So that'll come up pretty soon. And I've also got the Glenmorangie 15-year-old Cadboll. Looks like there's another edition coming out. I'll have to maybe get that too.
Knowing you, Mark, being a Glenmorangie guy, I knew you wouldn't want to just pop that bottle right away. That's why I sent that sample. And just what a phenomenal Scotch.
I mean, I can't wait to try that again. But it's like you take your 46% first fill / second fill matured Glenmorangie, and then you do a nice long finish in a wine cask.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's unique. It is still, you still know it's Glenmorangie under there, but it's different and wonderful. Okay, so this George T. Stagg, it's much sweeter on the nose than the William LaRue Weller. And it's not quite as leathery as the E.H. Taylor. About the same proof, I guess, as the E.H. Taylor. I think the mash bill is the same, or is it different? I really don't know.
Looking at a different mash bill, but the proof is just about the same.
And I feel like this is close to a high rye. So you got a little bit of fresh rye grain.
And I think I sent you either the 2018 or the 2019 version of this as well.
For sure you did.
This is the 2020. This is the exact bottle that you are sipping out of right now, Mark.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hang on, hold it right there. I'm just gonna make that full screen. Yeah, 65.2, exactly what I read there. So for people that are watching, you might be wondering about these bottles and if they're worth it. And I'll say that, yes, they're worth the retail price. In fact, they might even be able to sell them. I mean, they could put the retail price up, is what I'm trying to say. I'm happy that they're keeping it at about $200 or whatever it is.
About 120 US.
Yeah. So is it worth the secondary price, the auction price, or the quiet trading that happens in whiskey circles? I mean, if I had the money, and if $1,000 didn't mean that much to me, if $1,000 meant to me exactly what $200 does, then yeah, I totally would.
Yeah, if you're a bourbon lover, if you're a bourbon enthusiast and you're just trying to get your hands on that special bottle of bourbon, absolutely. I personally wouldn't pay that much. Like I said, I was lucky enough to get my hands on these bottles at retail, but I explained my method of reaching that goal of obtaining these bottles at retail price, which is basically bring back a sample to your guy.
Yeah, and it really, you're just using. You're not using. I don't want to say the word using. You are fulfilling your duties as a human being in keeping good communication and good friendship, fellowship with people that you meet that are involved in your life.
Right. And sharing whiskey is one of the best parts about whiskey. And when I brought back that guy a sample of Pappy 20, his response was wicked. He was wicked, and I'm sure he enjoyed it. You'll enjoy that sample as well.
So I got a little bit of the tobacco coming in now, and again, that's basically like good quality Nicaraguan or Cuban cigar wrapper. A little bit of cedar.
A little bit of tobacco coming in myself.
And there's a comment from Cohen about Woodinville that's finished in Ruby Port. That sounds really amazing. In fact, I have one Woodinville review in my archives. That sample, who did that come from again? That came from a fellow named Mel, who is a Korean American who's living in Japan.
Ironically, they get a lot of like Blanton's Silver, Blanton's Black, or something like that in Japan.
Yeah.
I'd love to get my hands on one of those bottles.
That's where I got the Evan Williams 12-year-old. and it was like an insane price. I think it was less than $40, like 30 something.
One of the best Japanese whiskeys I've ever had was Hibiki 12.
Hibiki. Oh, and the 12-year-old. I mean,
Oh, it's
I've
just
only.
insane.
Hmm.
And it was so funny because I was at my buddy's 50th birthday party, and he had this bottle on the table, and he wasn't really a whiskey drinker, and I was like, you might, it was maybe like 2/3 of the bottle left, and I asked him, I'm like, do you mind if I take this, because you're not really into whiskey? He's like, go ahead, take it. I got my hands on that bottle for, as we say, nins and nins.
Great, great. The 12-year-old, I think I only had a tiny taste at the Yamazaki distillery, but the 17, another fantastic. I mean, it's a blend. It's a blend, and it's a blend done right. That is malt and grain, all from Japan, all from Suntory. Amazing stuff. But let me just tell you about this George T. Stagg on the palate.
There's gonna be one very distinct flavor that you're gonna get.
Well, a little bit of chili, some lime, like sweet lime or key lime pie. I don't know, Joe. I'm gonna have to dive deeper in this here.
It's gonna be a fruit note.
A little bit of it's almost plummy.
Getting closer.
I was gonna say apricot, but it's not that tart. Well, I'm getting more fruit on the nose now with a bit of a couple of drops of that high alkaline spring water here. I've got some peach skins on the nose now. I'm gonna go with peach skins. Joe?
So for me, I'm getting big cherry.
Cherry.
Or like a dark cherry note.
See, I think your tongue is more adept with high proof than mine.
And that's typical of these higher proof bourbons. You get like your Old Forester 1920. This, especially this 2020 BTAC George T. Stagg, you're getting like big cherry notes. Let me know if you get any of that in there. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. You get big cherry on that, and it's very comparable. If you can't get your hands on this George T. Stagg, you go right to that Old Forester 1920, which is readily available, always on the shelf. And actually, I toured Old Forester, and a phenomenal tour. And they let you try it at the end of the tour, and big cherry.
Well, let me see if I get more cherry with a bit of water added. And let's all say a quick hello to Graham Young, who is on a trip to Scotland right now. I mentioned you a bit earlier. Nice to see you. And I guess it's morning there. So I gather you're probably not drinking at the moment. I don't think you could be. You're on holiday. You're on, and it is Canadian. It's like 2:40 in the morning in your hometown. So you could have license to have a little bit of a dram right now.
He's got to be about 40 drams in over there in Scotland.
I would imagine he is, yeah.
Cheers, Graham.
He got there, I think Monday evening or early morning maybe. Okay, so a little bit of water here. Let's see if I get this cherry. Yes, absolutely. Especially for me, the cherry pit. So you get down to the pit, and it's a little bit more earthen. It's a mix of it's like almost like the flavor of cooked cherries, along with that stone. And he says that he's had a coffee and he's driving to Skye today. Well, that's really awesome. The Isle of Skye, the home of Talisker and a new distillery called, is it called Torabeg? I think. Oh, I am right. Torabeg. I think it's Torabeg. Yeah, that's super awesome. I'm super jealous, and I know that Joe is as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Graham, if you want and you're interested, you want to pop in for 5 seconds and say hello. We're probably in the last, let's say, I don't know, 10 minutes. I think it's pretty late for Joe. I'm guessing you probably work pretty early. Yeah. So we'll give that a final little bit of a run through here. But if you want to pop in and say hi, that would be cool. I'll send you the link. I'm guessing he's probably busy having breakfast with his wife and maybe his kids as well, who I think one of them lives in Scotland. So he must be tied up. But well, we'll see in a minute or so. If he wants to pop in, that'd be great. If not, it'll be just you and me, Joe, till we wrap this up here. Okay, my final sip of this George T. Stagg. 2020, you said, right?
2020.
So with that little bit of water, I can put a full mouthful of that George T. Stagg in my mouth and not suffer from the high octane. You don't really get much 65, 67% Scotch whiskeys. It's rare. It does happen, but it's not that often. But for me, with water, coming from my background, which is basically Scotch whiskey, Canadian whiskey, Irish whiskey, I find that little bit of water really helps me to approach these bourbons a little bit more enjoyably. So, oh, that's just amazing, Joe. I think I'll be smelling these glasses after we've parted ways tonight. And I don't know if you guys do this, but you leave your glass overnight and then you smell the dried remains of your dram. Have you done that before? Joe, do you do that?
especially after one of those Winnipeg Whiskey Club tastings. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Joe, Graham says he's packing right now, so he can't join in, but wish you could join. And I'm really happy you love the bourbons. I'm going to have to put up an image that reflects the insane level of whiskey imbibery that we did tonight, Joe, because this is pretty epic. So just as a quick recap, this came in the mail from Joe, and a huge surprise to see. First of all, I mean, like, I expect samples when somebody sends me something, but lo and behold, he sends me a whole bottle. So that's pretty amazing. Old Pulteney Navigator, really enjoyed it, and really coastal saline, especially with water added. Super sweet, and that little bit of sherry finish gave it some nice chocolate flavors. Then we tried E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof, which was like an explosion of cigar, tobacco, roasted coffee, and leather, and all these kinds of nice notes, some chocolate as well. Then we tried the William LaRue Weller, which was 67 point something, almost 68%, Joe said. Super interesting, very different, very peppery, very spicy. And it was so strong for me, I had to add some water. And when I did, it gave me just such an amazing bourbon flavor. And people who say that bourbons all taste the same, you just haven't tried enough, and or you're not spending enough money, because it's like saying that all blended Scotch whiskeys taste the same, because they kind of do, because they kind of all try to get that multi-region flavor in their blends. Okay, so throw up a little bit more money. I think up to about, let's say, $40 US gets you some pretty nice bourbons. Probably some higher proofs. I think that's a good place to start. Maybe skip most of the 80 proofs and some of the 86s as well, unless they've got a good age statement. And I don't know, Joe, if you agree with me there, but I think if you want to avoid the typical generic bourbon, almost like that's a well bourbon. It's a bourbon meant for a bar to use in their well. You got to go up a little bit. What do you think is the minimum you'll spend on a typical bottle of bourbon for yourself to sip and enjoy?
Oh, it's going to be around $40.
40. Yeah.
That rare breed, that Wild Turkey rare breed barrel proof bourbon, can't go wrong at $40.
And that's about $60 Canadian if you can get it in Alberta, sometimes in Ontario.
Proof, sweet, sipping bourbon.
Mm.
Yeah.
And another thing to think about too is, it's no longer just about Kentucky. I mean, we talked about a little bit about Woodinville over in I guess the Seattle area in Washington State. And I really enjoy some of the Texas bourbons. I've had great bourbons from a company called King's Country. Pretty nice stuff. And Koval makes excellent, tasty bourbon. I wish they wouldn't release it at 80 proof, though. Some of their products are just too low to really enjoy from my perspective. Have you tried any Kovals?
Yeah, is that a Chicago based?
I think they're more east than Chicago. I think.
I can't remember.
I think maybe that's New York State or Philadelphia. Let's see. Koval Distillery. I'm sure someone's going to answer before I can find the answer myself.
Yeah, Chicago.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So and they were almost an originator of the craft mindset. I think they started like in 1990 something, which is insane. Story. Okay, 2008 is when they started. Well, anyway, that's pretty early. So anyway, I hope everybody had a great time tonight. And Cohen mentions that Few is also in Chicago. That's pretty amazing. And we have Lowell, who's been watching a lot tonight, who mentions he had no idea that there were so many variations and brands of whiskey. I mean, it's Lowell. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, so Few is actually, it's not Few, it's FEW.
Oh, pardon me.
Those are the initials of a woman who was a anti-prohibitionist here in Chicago.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so it's not Few, it's FEW.
Oh, so what is it? Fanny Elizabeth Wright?
I'd have to look that up, but let's see here.
I'll bet you her first name is Fanny. Anyway, so Lowell's talking about all the different, being surprised about all the different brands and variations of whiskey. It is pretty crazy. He says he gave up beer except an occasional Guinness. He's 57 and he wants to avoid too many calories from beer. And I agree with you. I mean, I'll have a beer a day. I should probably start cutting that down. And usually with dinner. But totally in the summertime, especially, I'll often skip it and just go right to a bit of whiskey with some club soda added to make just a nice highball. And it's refreshing. It's sweet enough, almost like no calories, like 50, 60 calories instead of the 200 and something that you've gotten in beer. So yeah. So did you figure out her name?
I might be too drunk to figure that out.
Okay, well, this was my last little bit of the old Pulteney. So a big cheers to you, Joel. And we had a marathon tonight. We went almost 3 hours, buddy. And I think I don't know. Am I going to be able to have you on the channel again, or have I totally spent?
Absolutely, anytime. Just let me know, Mark.
Awesome. Okay, cheers to you. And I'll just have a nice little final little sip here. Beautiful old Pulteney Navigator.
So her name is Frances Elizabeth Willard.
Well, I had one right.
Yeah, Frances Elizabeth Willard. She was an anti-prohibitionist, and that is the name of the distillery that it's based off of.
That's pretty amazing. And I haven't tried a FEW yet, and I will, and I'll stop calling it Few. FEW. Thanks a lot, Joe. I'm learning from you. And cheers to Graham Young. He's on his way north. Have a great time in Skye. Send some pictures. Maybe throw some up in the Whiskey Whistle and Friends and the Winnipeg Whiskey Club groups. That'd be great. Cohen, thank you for joining. I think you've been watching almost the whole night. Same with Lowell Bethel. So that's fantastic. And, it wouldn't be a fun evening without you guys following along. So I really appreciate it. And if you're watching after the fact, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell also, ding, ding, so you're notified of future Whiskey Whistles. And if you're enjoying my channel, check me out on Patreon and support the channel becoming a Whiskey Whistle crew member. Patreon.com/Whiskey Whistle. Check out Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. That is my guest here today, Joe Gulino's new Facebook group, Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. And he also does some writing on the Whiskey, Bourbon, and Scotch Enthusiasts website, often pairings of cigars with whiskey. I'll put a link to one of his reviews also in the description of this video. Please check that out. Please come in and join us on the Facebook group Cigars, Whiskey, and Winning. Joe, this has been an awesome evening, entirely from you, entirely thanks to you. This video is dedicated to you, and really appreciate it. You are an awesome whiskey personality, and you're an awesome friend, and I'm really happy, and I can't wait to see you in Chicago and possibly in Mexico and wherever else the future
Absolutely.
of our lives takes us. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. We'll see you. Cheers. Bye now.